Imagine for a moment that the familiar passage of time is merely an illusion, that it is not a swift river carrying us toward the unknown, but a boundless, frozen ocean of eternity. Across its dark, still waters glide only the chosen few, souls capable of leaving behind mysterious warnings for us, like solitary beacons flickering in an impenetrable gloom. And what if our entire reality, everything we so desperately cling to, our social institutions, our financial systems, our most profound convictions, rests upon a single, impossibly fragile thread? What if I were to tell you that this thread has been stretched to its breaking point and is about to snap, bringing everything we know crashing down? What you are about to hear is not just another conspiracy theory. It is the key to the very code of destiny. This is knowledge that can irrevocably alter your perception of reality and perhaps become your only salvation from the chaos that is already gathering on the horizon. And now, hold your breath. We are about to speak of a prophecy hidden for centuries, its verses misinterpreted and intentionally cast into oblivion. A mysterious quatrain penned by the greatest seer in history, Michel de Nostradame. And this very verse, as we will demonstrate, foretells with chilling accuracy not merely another crisis or a common recession. No, it speaks of the complete, all-consuming collapse of the world's financial system. And yet, that is not the most alarming discovery. Hidden within the cryptic lines is a specific mark in time, a fateful date on the calendar that draws nearer with relentless speed. Century 10, Quatrain 74. For 5 long centuries, this prophecy was considered nothing more than a vague metaphor, an allegory lost in the dust of time. Attempts were made to apply its verses to the great battles of the past, to the bloody revolutions that reshaped the world. But its true, hidden meaning eluded them time and again, slipping like sand through the fingers of the most inquisitive minds. The reason for this was simple. They were all captives of their time. Their minds, accustomed to the jingle of coins and the clash of steel, simply could not conceive of a reality where the colossal power of an unprecedented empire rested not on bars of gold in its vaults, nor on the sharpness of its swords, but on stacks of fragile green paper. Paper whose only value is the blind faith of millions, by a faith whose wellspring has all but run dry. And now, listen closely to these lines. Words that have patiently awaited their hour in the shadow of centuries. Words that send an icy chill down the spine. When the golden eagle loses its paper feathers, the twin bridge shall fall to a universal cry. 7 hills will watch as their treasure is swept away, and a new world will awaken from the ashes. Learned men, academics, and the eternal skeptics will simply dismiss it, calling it nothing more than a collection of beautiful yet empty images. A flight of fancy from some ancient seer. A hauntingly precise, a meticulously crafted code for a coming catastrophe. The golden eagle. This majestic symbol is inextricably linked to one nation, the United States of America. But what makes it golden? Within this word lies a profound dual meaning. On one hand, it's a reference to a former might, to a time when the nation's currency was backed by real, solid gold. On the other, it alludes to the dazzling illusion of wealth, the very gilded cage in which all of humanity has essentially become imprisoned. And what of its plumage, these so-called paper feathers? They are nothing less than the dollar. These thin, almost weightless scraps of paper are what allow this proud eagle to stay aloft, to soar above the world, creating only the illusion of free flight. merely imitating genuine strength. Should it lose these fragile feathers, it would instantly plummet from the heavens, forever stripped of its ability to fly. This signifies an inevitable fall, a swift plunge into the abyss from a dizzying height. It is the soul-chilling specter of hyperinflation. A complete reset, when all accumulated wealth, every fortune, turns to worthless dust in an instant, a mere handful of paper ash. An ancient prophecy speaks of this very thing. The twin bridge will fall to a universal cry. When the world recoiled from the tragedy of September 11th, many, in their horror and confusion, rushed to the conclusion that the prophecy had been fulfilled. In a sense, they were right. But they were seeing only the tip of the iceberg, the first and most obvious layer. For the prophecies of Nostradamus are rarely straightforward. They are layered and deep, much like reality itself, where a single event can cast a multitude of shadows. The fall of the Twin Towers was that first deafening toll of the bell, a visible material harbinger of the financial storm brewing in unseen depths. It was the first significant crack in the very foundation of the familiar world order. But behind this physical destruction lies a different, far more profound and all-encompassing meaning. You see, the Twin Bridge is more than a mere architectural structure. It is a symbolic bridge, spanning the great chasm between two distinct epochs. The age of old, tangible money, the kind you could hold in your hands, and the new era of a digital, entirely virtual economy, one that is being born right before our eyes. This bridge, the one we speak of, is doomed. It is destined to collapse. And its fall will not be a gentle and gradual decline. No, it will be a sudden, shattering catastrophe, its arrival heralded by a universal, deafening wail, the cry of despair from those who, in a single instant, will lose everything they possess. Perhaps this is the very same bridge that still connects the two great pillars of the global economy, the East and the West. A bridge that, even now, under our very gaze, is becoming riddled with a network of deep fractures, groaning treacherously as it prepares to crumble into pieces. Surely you can feel it. That barely perceptible yet relentlessly growing tremor that runs through the very ground beneath our feet. An ancient prophecy declares, 7 hills shall watch as their treasure is swept away. The 7 hills. For many, this is the eternal symbol of Rome, the cradle of all Western civilization and the heart of history's first global empire. In the modern world, however, these words take on a new, chillingly precise meaning. They point directly to the nations of the Group of 7, those very 7 pillars of the old world order, built on the foundation of the dollar's supremacy. Their treasure is the wealth they have accumulated over centuries, their seemingly unshakable influence, their global dominion. And now, all of this is to be swept away without a trace, scattered by the furious whirlwind of coming change. The prophecy leaves no room for a slow decline. It speaks not of gradual decay, but of a swift, devastating, and inevitable event. And finally, we see the one line that provides the key to understanding the entire prophecy, a key held in the words, "And a new world will awaken from the ashes." Make no mistake, this is not a forecast of the end of the world, as many might assume. This proclaims the end of the old world, a world built upon a foundation of lies, one that has bound us in chains of debt and suffocating material servitude. From these smoldering ashes, from the primordial chaos and the wreckage of the old order, something entirely new is destined to arise. Something that we, and we alone, are called upon to build and nurture. Yet, Nostradamus was not alone in his foresight. His vision, like a distant yet clear echo, resonates in the revelations of other great mystics, those separated by entire centuries and boundless oceans. Consider the blind Bulgarian prophetess, known as Baba Vanga, a woman who, though sightless, saw the future with a chilling and staggering clarity. Her quiet yet firm voice would prophesy, as if pronouncing a final verdict: America will fall. The great overseas nation, surrounded by oceans, will crumble under an onslaught of iron and fire, and wolves shall howl from across the ocean, or so the legend of her words tells us. She spoke of a black president, after whose term a great nation would find itself teetering on the very brink of an abyss. She prophesied a time when people would hold something called red money, while the familiar paper bills, which only yesterday seemed like a fortune, would turn into worthless trash. With bated breath, is this not what we discuss even today? The looming collapse of the dollar and the potential rise of a new, perhaps digital currency controlled from the East. But what if we delve even deeper into the past, to sources less known, but no less powerful for it? An anonymous medieval scribe, known to history as the Monk of Padua, left the following message in his mysterious encrypted texts. In the year the serpent swallows its own tail, under the gaze of the king in a crown of fire, the currency of the merchants, that which is adorned with a pyramid and an all-seeing eye, will turn to dust, and a great famine will befall the people, not from a lack of bread, but from a total lack of faith. And these symbols are striking in their clarity. The serpent devouring its tail is, of course, the Ouroboros, the ancient symbol of eternal cycles, and the king in a crown of fire, a currency with a pyramid and an all-seeing eye. Speak those words, and no further explanation is needed. Every one of us knows exactly which banknote is being discussed. Know this: right now, behind the closed doors of lavish offices, Wall Street insiders and the highest-ranking officials are discussing, with a hidden panic in their voices, what they refer to in their dry jargon as a financial singularity event. Just recently, an anonymous source from one of the world's largest banks risked everything to leak shocking information online. The leak revealed secret protocols under the ominous name Doomsday, designed to be activated in the event of a complete and irreversible loss of confidence in the reserve currency. They know. They are preparing, but they won't tell you a word. Until the very last moment, they will maintain a stone-faced calm, assuring everyone that the situation is under control, all while our shared ship sinks inexorably to the bottom. But now, let us step away from the world of secret protocols and into our own reality. Do you truly believe this is all just a series of coincidences? Look closer at what is happening all around you. The signs of coming change are everywhere, and with each passing day, they grow clearer and more ominous. We see the powerful BRICS alliance, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, no longer whispering, but loudly declaring the creation of a new reserve currency. This is a brazen challenge to the long-held dominance of the dollar, made for the entire world to see. And rest assured, this is more than just backroom talk or empty pronouncements. A true tectonic shift is happening before our very eyes, shaking the global financial system to its very core. At the same time, record-breaking, unchecked inflation is spreading across the planet. Your savings, sitting in bank accounts, are melting away with each day, their purchasing power vanishing forever. Everything you have worked for, all that you have so carefully saved, is slowly turning to dust. This is the slow erosion of paper wealth in action, a process so gradual it is almost unnoticeable at first, which makes it all the more agonizing. Now think back to the recent banking collapses. Financial giants, which only yesterday seemed to be unshakable pillars of stability, crumbled overnight, in a matter of days. Beneath the rubble, they buried not just money, but the hopes and dreams of thousands of ordinary people. But the most alarming part is this. All of that was merely the first tremor, a faint shudder of the earth before the main, devastating earthquake that is now inevitably approaching. Global tension has reached its boiling point, the very air electrified with the premonition of change. Across the planet, the smoldering embers of conflict are erupting into furious flames, and each new fire is another nail hammered into the coffin of the old world order, the one built upon the power of the petrodollar. And what of nature? Does the universe remain silent? No, it cries out in return, sending us its signs. The most powerful solar flares ever witnessed, like a cosmic tempest, threaten to collapse our fragile power grids at any moment. A single invisible wave is all it would take to erase all digital data, our entire lives, including our bank accounts, without a trace. Or consider the recent Great American Eclipse, which traced an ominous cross over the entire nation, like a serpent of fire. Is this not the very omen that prophets have foretold for centuries? The ancient civilizations, who watched the heavens in awe, always saw eclipses as harbingers of great upheaval and the fall of empires. Why in our arrogance have we decided we are wiser than they were? Look inward. Have you not noticed similar signs in your own life? Is there not a profound sense growing inside you, a feeling that the very ground beneath your feet is giving way, and that the rules of the old, familiar game no longer apply? This brings us to the most crucial point, the very line that separates one who is awakened from one who is still lost in slumber. The impending collapse that everyone speaks of is far more than a mere financial crash. It is a phenomenon far more profound, touching each of us on a personal level. It is the collapse of consciousness itself, the total disintegration of the materialistic paradigm we were so carefully taught to believe in. For money is not simply colorful paper or cold digits on a screen. It is a concentration of pure energy. For long centuries, this mighty force has been distorted, its very essence poisoned by clinging fear, corrosive greed, and an iron grip of control. You must understand, the global financial system is something far greater than a mere network of banks. It is a vast, invisible structure whose cold, metallic veins have wrapped themselves around the entire planet, like the roots of a predatory plant, greedily siphoning the life force from humanity and nature itself. And the dollar, with its sleepless, all-seeing eye at the pyramid's peak, has long since ceased to be just a currency. It is a powerful symbol, a brand seared upon the very consciousness of humankind. It is a ghostly crown of fragile, deceptively radiant glass that we have willingly placed upon our own heads, too afraid to look up and see the true light. But now, that glass crown is beginning to fracture. The first hairline cracks, fine as a spider's web, are spreading across its smooth surface. Those same metallic veins that once seemed eternal are beginning to rust and crumble into dust. The impending collapse of the dollar is more than a mere financial cataclysm. It is a grand metaphor for the liberation to come. It is the prophesied fall of our modern-day Tower of Babel. It is the deafening collapse of a blind faith, the belief that the external is always more important than the internal, that possession is infinitely more valuable than existence itself. Consider what will happen on that day, when all the world's money turns to dust. A chilling wave of panic will surge through the streets. The familiar order will plunge into chaos, as a cloying, universal fear thickens the very air. Those whose identities, whose very sense of self, were built entirely upon the jingle of coins, on high status and so carefully erected on the quicksand of illusion, will crumble in a single moment. Know this. This is the great trial spoken of by the wise ones since ancient times. This is the breaking point. The hour when the mask each of us wears will be mercilessly torn away. Then it will become clear what lay hidden beneath, an icy, ringing emptiness, or the eternal shining light of a true spirit. So when troubling news of the coming collapse reaches you, do not let fear seize your heart. Fear is their greatest weapon, their final desperate attempt to keep us in the clutches of the old world. But I ask you, look deeper. What you are witnessing is not ruin. It is a sacred destruction. A necessary, though painful, process of a great cleansing. Imagine a forest fire. Its all-consuming flame devours the old, sick undergrowth, turning to ash everything that is obsolete and weak. But this fire does not bring a final death. It clears the land, so that from these ashes, new, strong, and healthy shoots can push through towards the sun. Yes, there will be pain on this path. A soul-chilling fear will be there as well. But this is not the agony of an end. These are the pains of birth. A new, better world is being born. A transformed humanity is emerging. And this seeming collapse, this shattering of everything familiar, is in truth the greatest gift, the greatest opportunity for awakening ever granted to our generation. We have been given the chance to finally throw off the heavy shackles of debt slavery, which have become embedded in our very skin. This is a chance to remember that true wealth isn't measured by the soulless digits in a bank account. It is found in the strength and health of our bodies, in the crystal clarity of the water, and in the generosity of the living earth. It lies in the warmth of strong communities, in sincere love, in the free flight of creativity, and in the profound spiritual connection that unites all of existence. This is an opportunity to stop being faceless cogs in a giant cold machine and to reclaim ourselves, to become the true creators of our own reality. And here, at this crucial moment in time, everything depends on you, on every single one of you listening to these words. Believe this: the fate of this world is not decided in high offices, nor in velvet-lined boardrooms. It is not forged on the thundering fields of battle. No, it is born right now, in the very depths of your heart and in the quiet of your own mind. You have a choice. You can continue to remain asleep, desperately clinging to the fragments of the old world, naively hoping that everything will somehow sort itself out. You can go on believing the poison-sweet promises of the very people who led us, step by step, to the edge of this bottomless abyss. Of course, you can give in to the mass panic. You can rush to the stores in a frenzy, sweeping the last cans and cartridges from the shelves. You can look on every neighbor with distrust, seeing a potential enemy ready to of destruction. But there is another way. The path of those they call the awakened. You can make the choice to remember who you truly are, to realize that your essence is immeasurably more than mere numbers in a bank account. You are a brilliant spark of divine light, an eternal soul that has come to this planet for an invaluable experience. And then you can begin to prepare, not on the outside, but from within, cultivating tranquility and fortifying your spirit, finding and forging deep connections with like-minded souls, with those who gaze in the same direction as you, mastering the authentic skills that no amount of money can buy, the ability to feel the earth and grow food upon it, the capacity to find and purify living water, the art of healing your own body and helping others. The time has come to develop your intuition, to learn how to hear the quiet yet insistent voice of the universe, instead of being lost in the deafening roar of a panicked crowd. It is in your awareness, in your firm resolve not to surrender to collective fear, that lies the overwhelming power capable of changing a predestined outcome. With every choice you make for love over fear, for cooperation over bitter competition, for creation over mindless consumption, you are weaving your own thread into the tapestry of a world being born. You are the living seed, destined to sprout through the cooling ashes of the past and usher in a new, luminous future. But when will this come to pass? The great prophets, Nostradamus included, never offered precise dates according to our calendar. They spoke in the language of eternity, for which time is not a linear path, but an infinite cycle. Instead, he left us a unique marker, a sign inseparably linked to both great celestial events and the profound condition of the human spirit. And now, many researchers, among them an anonymous group of brilliant European astrologers and mathematicians, declare that by deciphering this key, they have come to an astonishing conclusion. After a deep analysis of solar activity cycles, and by cross-referencing the alignment of the planets with the cryptic lines of ancient quatrains, they point to an exceptionally narrow corridor of time, a corridor we are already living within. The culmination of this grand process, the true point of no return, is calculated to arrive at the very moment of the next large-scale celestial phenomenon. This spectacle, visible from North America, will, by a fateful twist of circumstance, coincide with the absolute peak of geopolitical and economic turbulence across the globe. They speak of the coming 3 days of darkness. But we are not speaking of a literal darkness, the kind that falls when the sun goes out. The gloom that awaits us is of another sort, both informational and financial. It is an all-consuming quiet that will descend the very moment our entire familiar, fragile system is simply unplugged, plunging into silence. And we are already standing on the threshold of these events. Consider what you will do during those decisive days. Will you allow a paralyzing fear to shackle your will, forcing you to tremble in the shadow of the unknown? Or will you become that very beacon of tranquility and hope for those who are utterly lost in this man-made twilight? The choice remains yours, but it can be postponed no longer, because now is the only time we have left. Understand, this knowledge is not a heavy burden, nor is it a curse. It is a priceless gift, a resounding call to awaken, a call to cast aside all that is superficial and remember your true essence, who you were born to be. That is why I reach out to each of you again and again. This call is something more than a simple plea. It is a conscious act of spiritual resistance, a seemingly insignificant gesture built around us. Every such act sends another deep crack through the rotten foundation of the old world. Let your light touch others, those who are still wandering in doubt. Every soul awakened is another candle, burning brightly in the surrounding darkness. Join our growing community of light warriors. Each new voice is not just a click, but a conscious addition to the powerful chorus of the awakened. If you feel ready to take the next step, a key to our inner circle awaits. A place where we share sacred knowledge and proven strategies to survive in this rapidly changing world. If these words resonate deep within your soul, if you feel a wave of genuine gratitude, know that you can become part of our mission. Your support is the very light energy that helps us carry this torch forward. Thanks to you, its flame will not fade, and we can bring the light of truth to those who wander in the darkness of doubt and desperately need it. Until we meet